Any America's Cup boat launch is going to be interesting, but this one is the most important of them all. Because if you want to win the America's Cup, this is the boat you're going to have to beat. You wait a couple of years for a new AC75 to arrive, then two appear in a fortnight. Excellent. The rumours were that the Kiwis and the Italians would follow swiftly behind Alinghi Red Bull Racing when it came to revealing their new 75s. And while the Kiwis were second out of the shed, they were first on the water. But not even the locals in Auckland were expecting their team to roll their machine out quite so soon.
Today's a really important day for the team. It's been quite a few years to get to this point, and a huge amount of work from the design team, the build team, and also the shore team over the last 4 or 5 weeks for the fit out. So
go forward a little bit then.
Big step forward. Happy that we've made our date, or slightly overachieved on that by a few days, to get the rig in now, and seeing it finally roll out of the shed and put the rig in. That's a major step forward. So it's really exciting. It's a good moment for the team, and it sort of signals the start of the final phase, really.
Being the defenders and looking at the Cup schedule this year, Emirates Team New Zealand are the final act to go on stage, so to speak. Yes, they do race with the challengers early on, but being the defenders, they don't have to qualify for the match. So what can we see in their design? The unveiling is significant because, like the challengers, only one AC75 is allowed this time around, and this is their one shot at the Cup. It's also worth remembering that their main focus is for October, when the America's Cup proper takes place. So, in theory, their design focus will have been based on the weather conditions at this time. In contrast, the challengers have to design boats that will work across a wider range of conditions, from mid-August through to the end of October, as they fight out who's going to be the eventual challenger. But with so much weird and wild weather around the world, how much confidence would you have right now in historical weather data? Teams won't say it openly, but this is an area of concern for all of them. So perhaps this gives a clue as to the thinking behind the Kiwi boat. Overall, it looks like a more modest approach than Alinghi Red Bull Racing. The skeg is a shallower, less aggressive affair, and the bow has a fine entry with topsides that flare out quite quickly as you move aft. When you compare this to their previous 75, she's a more refined, slender-looking shape up forwards. The profile of the skeg is very similar to that of Alinghi, in that it is flat in the forward sections and extends all the way to the stern. The sailing footage shows why this underside is so straight, as it runs parallel to the water's surface in order to achieve the best end plate effect. The topsides running aft are very different, with a shear line that runs all the way through to the transom and not cut away like the Swiss boat. Having said that, the transom itself is still just a platform. As expected, there are 3 crew pods for the 4 crew on each side of the boat, which means that the shear line is more of a hump than before. This also seems to mimic the airflow over the deck. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the team don't seem that keen on showing us the deck or the cockpit, yet. Unlike the Swiss, we did see the foils. In fact, the rules prohibit these being covered if you're launching to go sailing. Essentially, they are T-foils with a slight anhedral curve, which seems to be the focus at the moment with some of the other teams. But in Jeddah, Kiwi boss Grant Dalton suggested that they had more development to go with their foils than the challengers. So perhaps we shouldn't read too much into these foils when it comes to considering what they might use come the Cup. But aside from the reveal, to see them sailing so soon after launch was also very impressive, and says much for their quiet confidence. Given how important the psychological game is in the Cup, I wouldn't mind betting that being able to demonstrate this to the other teams was important to them. And even though they didn't say this, it was clear how significant and exciting this launch had been for a team that has been there many times before.
Pretty incredible to be able to sheet on and just do a few falling tacks straight off the bat. But yeah, the boat felt really good. Felt quite like we predicted it too, which is always nice as well. And yeah, now looking forward to going back and having a good look at the data and trying to make a good plan going forward. Yeah, we've definitely been pretty aggressive with the design, so you know, we're really happy with what we've produced. It's been really cool to see Alinghi as well, and you know, I think we'll see a few more boats very soon. So, I mean, with the Cup, this is the exciting time, right? You get to see what everyone's been up to for the last, 2 years. So, yeah, to wheel it out of the shed, finally have it out in the open, and you know, be testing and developing on it is incredible.
But for all the detail, what interests me the most at this stage is to see a machine that is more of a development rather than a radical step. To me, it suggests that the Kiwis are quietly confident with where they are and how to build on the technical lead that they've had since winning the Cup in 2017. You could argue that given the Kiwi dominance, the challengers are under far more pressure to push the envelope to stand any chance in catching up with where the Kiwis are in the technical front. Perhaps this is what we're seeing with Alinghi's launch. But Cup history suggests that radical rarely works. Instead, you've got to be good at everything. So, with 2 launched and 4 to go, the weeks ahead are a Cup spotter's dream.